Okay, so now some audience participation. This is I call this a clam trying to be a tuna. I'm going to give each of you an animal. Hold on. Okay. I'm going to give each of you an animal, and I want you to, thinking about what we just said, create a browser, like a giraffe or a cow, something that eats leaves, a predator, and a scavenger based on this one animal. Okay, so are you ready? I'm going to the random animal generator. All right, random animal generator. Amber, your animal is a guinea pig. Give me a predator, browser, scavenger, guinea pig. Jacob, yours is a Gila monster. David, yours is a crow. Sean, yours is a reindeer. Generates more random animals. Peter, yours is a rhinoceros. Pavlina, if you're around, yours is a weasel.
Yay, weasel.
Yay, weasel. Tom, yours is a koala. Give me a predator, browser, scavenger, koala. Those are 3 different animals. Susan, yours is an orangutan. Grace, yours is a hyena. And Audrey, yours is a snowy owl. Okay. Amber, what do you have for us?
Okay, so I'm all about story and I'm all about design. So what I did for the scavenger is I removed the guinea pig from the cage and I just put a rat there. Because it kind of looks the same and, you know, could serve the same function.
Yeah.
Then for the browser, I made it giant and left it mostly the same. So it's kind of like a big short-legged buffalo because they already eat grass and then they are browsers. We just make them huge and rideable.
Right. And there actually is a real animal called a capybara, which is basically that. It's basically a giant guinea pig that that eats grass and lives in the water.
And then for the predator, I'm back to the gene splicing thing. And I looked up guinea pigs real quick while we were doing this. And there was a whole list of plants that were poisonous to guinea pigs. Apparently they are very fragile creatures. So my gene splicer is going to try to flip that and winds up with something that is now poisonous and changes the teeth because it's got to be a predator. So give it some injector teeth, but leave everything else the same. So it's adorable and looks harmless.
That is also, so guinea pigs don't do that, but there is something similar. A lot of animals eat poisonous things. So for example, poison dart frogs in the Amazon. The reason they're poisonous is because they eat poisonous bugs and they keep the poisons and concentrate them in their bodies. And the same is true for the pufferfish, the one that kills you when you eat it. It's a common thing of, it's called sequestration. You sequester poisons in your body. So good for that guinea pig.
So yeah, gene splicer has fixed it all.
Very good. Jacob, what do you have for us?
Okay, I didn't remember what they all were. It was a predator,
browser,
herbivore, and scavenger.
Yeah, predator, herbivore.
Okay. Well, Gila monsters are already predators, so he's himself.
Yeah.
The closest thing I could think of would be like an iguana for an herbivore.
Yeah.
Because I more or less remember seeing them eating lettuce and fruits and all that kind of stuff when I was at pet stores. And I was trying to think of scavenger, what would happen? It's like, well, closest thing I could think of was a catfish.
Okay.
If I've ever seen a scavenger, that's one of them. And it to me, it looks kind of like a Gila monster. They're slimy. They're the skin instead of scales. So
So you have a swimming Gila monster. That,
oh yeah. Well, the iguana, remember, he swims.
That eats
And
whatever.
so if you're going to transition, you might as well go to catfish.
All right, very nice. Thinking of anything like that, and I'm coming up blank. There's a swimming iguana that eats seaweed.
Yeah.
Well, so
marine
giant
iguana.
Komodo dragons kind of eat a lot of carrion. What was that? Someone's going to say?
A marine iguana.
Marine iguana, right? So they eat seaweed.
They live in the Galapagos.
But they don't. But they're not scavengers. So good idea. We haven't seen one of those yet. David, what did you come up with?
Designing 3 species in 5 minutes is hard, but one thing is that the predator. I was imagining a very large crow that eats things like sheep. Any animal slower than a crow, and so the thing is that predators can be very handy. And when you have the problem that some countries and islands have now, where wild boars have gotten out of hand, or some other animal is overwhelming, then you want a predator crow that can take them off your hands. Browsers, I was thinking that a crow that had lost its taste for meat, but still liked hair. And so that would be good as part of your story, because it could not only, you could have a sort of a pet that would be a barber for your family, but also would be used for shearing sheep and things like that. Instead of eating the sheep, they would shear the sheep. And the scavenger. Now, I don't know if you know this, but you know that the Jewish dietary laws don't let you eat certain species, but they go farther than that. There are certain parts of certain species you're not allowed to eat.
Okay.
Like the hind legs of certain animals are not kosher, which means that even a kosher butcher has this stuff that nobody needs. That's where a scavenger comes in, because you want a predatory scavenger crow that follows the Jews around and eats the hind legs of the animals. That's all. That's my thought. Those are my 3 thoughts.
Hind legs of the animals discarded by
Yes, like kosher butchers.
Wander around.
Yeah.
Very good. So crows are already scavengers, so you don't need to.
Yeah.
But they could be specially trained.
They could be larger, much larger animals.
And larger.
It's part of my story. Right?
I like it. Sean, what about you?
Well, my reindeer obviously already is a browser, but as far as a scavenger, you would be much smaller, and like almost to the order of a cat or something, very much smaller. The head would be more central to the body instead of sticking way out on top of the long neck, so that it would kind of have even distance of travel for all sides to get food. The antlers became tentacles to constantly be pulling things in towards the center for eating, and more spread out over the length of the body, not just centrally located on the head. So basically an upside down octopus with feet.
Wow, scary.
And then as far as the predator, the antlers became a lot smaller and sharper and more like distributed around the side of the head, not just on top. So like a mane of antler. And the legs were shorter and more powerful. That mean a little bit less speed, but more like a lion sort of legs than the running sprinting legs.
They all look more or less the same.
I figured the big change would be just in scale, because if you want a predator rhino, then you have to shrink things down to make it a viable predator. So
right.
Yeah, the predator version is intended to be about the size of a wolf, and then the scavenger is something smaller. And both the predator and the scavenger lose the horns because the horns would get in the way of the needed behaviors.
Yeah. Nice. And you don't see very many predators with ostentatious horns and antlers and things. Although I remember lions, so it's not.
The antlers and horns and stuff is pretty much a social herbivore thing.
Yeah. I'm looking at Grace's. That's the scavenger. I like there was a swimming one too. I like the swimming one. So you can tell us about yours.
For my koalas, they're already browsers. I would probably make them go beyond eucalyptus to where they could eat any greenery.
Yeah, it seems like something there.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go.
For the scavenger, I like Sean's idea of making the creatures smaller, because I think they would be very good scavengers with the droughts, with the fires,
Okay.
with the flooding that they have in Australia. I think smaller troops of koalas would be very, very bothersome. And for the predator, they've already got great claws,
Yep.
but they would have to develop sharp teeth. They've got little flat teeth now.
Yeah.
So to become predators, I would think that their teeth would have to be pointed. Since they're primarily nocturnal now, that would probably have to change. But since they are such high top tree dwellers, I think birds would be a natural food source for them. Anyway, that's my three: the browser, scavenger, and predator. I think koalas would fit those niches very well.
Birds, I was not expecting. That's a cool one. Grace, you're showing there's your swimming. I don't remember what it was originally.
I asked the question.
Oh, you
actually.
have it. Yeah.
I have an orangutan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, given they're fairly close to us and we're fairly all these three things, would there be significant change?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if there was change, I kind of went with the predator would need to run faster,
Mhm.
probably,
Mhm.
but the arms are the wrong way round, because so I'm not sure how that would work.
Yeah.
The herbivore browser, I made something that was looking a bit more like a llama, and the general scavenger is just as per.
It's
I
just
don't
the
see
right.
I don't see any necessity for change there.
Very nice. I'm reading a book now that suggests that that humans are what you get when you have a predatory ape. So, Audrey, what were you thinking? What do you have for us?
Well, hold on. I can show this, but not me. So I'm gonna do this real quick on the camera. Okay.
I see wings.
Yeah.
Okay, is that the predator?
Yes. So I mostly, I guess, concentrated on the predatorial predator aspect. I had a snowy owl. So one, even though we kind of grew up with the trope thinking that owls were smart, I guess now we know that owls are not smart.
They're okay.
So I'd make mine smart.
Okay.
An
Good.
intelligent bird. So I kind of compared it more to other birds when looking for characteristics rather than just any other animal. So like more like a raven in its intelligence.
Okay.
I thought of it as very like protective. So not necessarily just goes out but its nature will protect and get vicious if needed.
Mhm.
It has the attributes to do that. So like the wings I thought would have more of weaponized, I guess, kind of attributes, kind of maybe spikiness or something like that to its feathers. Have more of a nature like let's say I think a goshawk, I think, and blue jays are very protective. And then like its tail, so a lot of its body parts would be used as weapons, like long claws, the tail being long and sweeping as well. What else was I saying? Oh, and then I know it's mostly an Arctic bird I saw, but
Yeah.
it mostly is because it just likes open areas. So like it lives in tundra. So I was thinking if it could more adapt and be inclined to other kind of climates as well, or other areas would help in being a predator. And
Yeah.
then with that, you know, snowy owls, they obviously can be camouflaged in the snow because of their white, you know. So
Yeah.
if it could, by being able to acclimate to others, maybe take that camouflage and be more like any kind of camouflage in a way, more like a chameleon type thing that would help in predator. I guess when it comes to scavenging, obviously it could be like if it was more like a vulture, in a way, which are obviously scavenger birds. I saw that some snowy owls aren't, but that some owls are becoming more scavenger-like. So it would probably that I saw when I looked up stuff. I was looking up
Okay, I
something,
believe
so they might even just by just time become kind of like that anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I was thinking.
Very good. Amber, how strict are we about time?
Well, I would like to stop the official part of the meeting at 2, so that we respect everyone's time and anyone who needs to leave can. And we'll stop the recording. But a lot of times people will hang out after. So if you want to hang out after Dan stops the recording to ask questions or talk more about this, y'all are welcome to. He is the host, so he can technically stay on as long as he wants. I usually hang out for about half an hour.
Okay. All right. In that case, it's 10 o'clock my time, and so thank you all very much. If you need to go, this is the time to do it. I'm stopping the recording. Thanks a lot.